What's good, y'all? Welcome back to Believe in the Miami Heat, brought to you by the Believe Network. As always, I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. How we feeling, Heat Nation? Now, you know what? Don't answer that question. I'm not even going to try to do any of the positive stuff today because actually earlier today, after the Heat lost to the New York Knicks for their sixth straight loss, if you're not aware, I was over on the Basement Sports Network live streaming, and I played my character Optimistic Ann over there, and we had a good time because after six straight losses, what can be said that hasn't already been said? Now, I do want to do a couple housekeeping things before we get into Jimmy, before we get into Tyler, and all the other juicy stuff to talk about because Heat fans are mad right now, and obviously that includes myself. So a couple notes on the housekeeping stuff, right? Well, first, before you get mad at me for rambling, if you're watching this on YouTube or on the podcast audio platform, whichever, any audio platform of your choice, timestamps are down below. So if you don't want to hear me ramble, then just skip ahead, gladly. I do want to say I should be calling this Believe in Miami Heat live because for the first time, I'm actually trying something new where I am not only recording this podcast on my camera and on my GarageBand audio to upload later and put on the YouTube channel, the video like I always do. But I'm also live streaming it right now on my YouTube channel. So if y'all ever want to see me talk live and while I do this podcast and ask me some questions that I can answer during the show, then check out my YouTube channel. Just search Anthony DiNardo and make sure to like and subscribe and do all that good stuff because it helps me out a lot. Now, I kind of experimented with the live streaming on my personal channel a couple times this week. It went very well. So much so that when I wasn't on my channel after the Knicks game, I had several people DM me asking me why aren't I streaming? Where's the video for the game? Well, I was on the Basement Sports Network. That's why I said make sure y'all follow them too because I be over there a lot. But I figure instead of just these podcasts being me talking to the camera for 30 minutes, why don't I live stream at the same time? See if we get people come in and get some questions, and maybe y'all could be a part of the podcast too. So now I'm talking to all of my people watching on the stream right now. Feel free to drop a question down below, and then we'll get y'all up in there. I should make a comment to join the pod. I'll say recording live stream, recording live podcast. Okay, add. Okay, so basically what I did now is I just made a note on the live stream side saying to people to comment, to come join the live podcast so I can answer your questions as we do the podcast, if that's making sense. So again, kind of doing this one as a test, so if it's a little sloppy, I'm sorry. But I'm talking to like 3 different audience now, so I got the audio side, which is, Apple Podcast, Spotify, whatever. I got the YouTube video, which is cut and edited and all that stuff, which will be uploaded on Sunday. And then I got the people that I'm talking to live right now on the YouTube channel without all the cuts and edits and all that stuff. So I think I'm going to start doing these maybe pretty late Saturday nights. So I don't know how many people I'll actually have in the podcast live. But hey, if we get some questions, we're going to answer them on stream. If I confused you, oh, well, I probably confused myself too. So let's talk about this Miami Heat team, right? Because Heat fans are mad, and that's an understatement, right? A lot of that has been directed towards Jimmy Butler. A lot of that has been directed towards Tyler Herro. Shoot, I've seen it directed towards everyone, actually, from Spoelstra to Terry Rozier, okay? So I don't quite know exactly where to start. We could start by talking about this Knicks game, I guess, right? Because I think kind of the story of the game was Jimmy Butler. Because really, the game was the same as all the other losses, right? I mean, they got up big early. Well, I guess that part is new because we know this Heat team ain't been scoring. But they actually got up big early, and then they kind of blew the lead. And then before you know it, the Heat were down 20 points, just like all the other games. The difference is Jimmy was rather aggressive tonight. I think he finished with 25, 28 points, something like that. Let me double check here. He finished with 28 points, and he took 20 shots. Prior tonight, he's been averaging 11 shots or something like that. So people were thinking, oh, if you get aggressive Jimmy, then maybe you got a chance to win. But you did get aggressive Jimmy. That wasn't the case tonight, with a win. So that leaves us to say, what is the problem with this Miami Heat team? Now, I do want to talk about Jimmy Butler's aggressiveness on the podcast here because I talked about it on my live stream after the Heat lost to Boston and stuff. But I want to talk about it for the people that's over here as well. I was part of the camp that said, I don't care how lackadaisical Jimmy Butler is in the regular season, because every time we get to the playoffs, he turns into God mode. You know what I mean? And he's 34 years old. He obviously gets hit a lot when he attacks the basket. I said if he needs to be conservative of his body in the regular season to get that playoff performance, I'm fine with it. And the biggest pushback that I got on that is saying, hey, you got to start holding Jimmy Butler accountable because, he's getting paid all this money. And I want to say those people are right as well, because I don't give Jimmy Butler too much flack in the regular season, but it's to a certain extent. I think he needs to pick and choose his spots when to be aggressive. And of late, I don't think he's been doing a great job of that. Because what good is playoff Jimmy if you don't get to the playoffs? And I was starting to give him some flack for this last year when they were the 7th, 8th seed and they were getting in that play-in tournament. I said, hey, you got to turn it up sooner or later, Jimmy Butler. I'm getting tired of you watching you taking 7, 8 shots a game versus terrible teams and the Heat are losing all these games. And the same thing is kind of starting to happen this season. Because let's go back and look through the last losing streak, right? They got their ass kicked by the Toronto Raptors. If y'all remember, the Raptors shot the lights out. And I said, okay, whatever. Not that big a deal. And then I said the Heat were going to try the next game because they had the Atlanta Hawks. That was Udonis Haslem night. They're not going to lose in front of UD and Dwayne Wade and Goran and Alonzo and Pat and everyone else that was there, right? Well, it was a close game. DeJounte Murray hit a game winner. That's the way to turn tables. And then I said, okay, you playing an Orlando Magic team just a few hours up the road. The team is very good, but you should be able to handle them. You got your ass kicked. That's fine. Maybe they underestimated a lowly Orlando Magic team. This is me, as a Heat fan, giving the Heat these excuses, right? But then you come home versus the Memphis Grizzlies, who rolled out a lineup that had major minutes from the likes of David Roddy, Vince Williams, G.G. Jackson, Scottie Pippen Jr. Their only normal rotation player that played was Jaren Jackson, who was 5 for 21 because Bam was clamping that boy. So you'd think the Heat would have won that game versus a lowly Grizzlies team. No, they lost by 9 points in a game that ended up being not all that close. So now you're like, uh-oh, you're still losing. Jimmy Butler's not trying. You were on a 3-game losing streak. You thought that would have been the wake-up call where Jimmy could have did whatever he wants against these young Grizzlies, but he didn't try. So you say, okay, they're coming up at home versus the Boston Celtics. We know Jimmy hates the Boston Celtics. This is national television. Jimmy's going to try. We didn't get it. You're looking at a 5-game losing streak. So now coming in today, say, hey, national TV again versus a big rival, the New York Knicks. Is Jimmy Butler going to try tonight? You'd think he would. And he did try. But it didn't matter. So I'm sitting here as a Heat fan saying, what the hell is the problem? Now, I want to talk about the Tyler Herro thing for a little bit here. And once again, I'm doing this. I'm recording my podcast that will be uploaded tomorrow, the cut and edited video, and also the audio platform. But I'm also live streaming right now, and I see I got a ton of comments here, and I will be getting to a lot of these comments kind of after we're done talking about the main points here. So Tyler Herro has been a large topic of conversation for several years now, right? I have a whole rap about Tyler Herro called Perspectives, where I rap from the people that hate him and the people that love him. Because for some reason, he's become one of the most polarizing players in Heat history, right? I think it's kind of make sure y'all go check it out. Like, it is a mystery how in Heat history Herro is one of the most polarized. Fans either thinking he killed the Heat, lead him to victory, always stay fighting their side. Fans always go to extreme where there's no in between, failing to realize that it's subjective. I'm about to rap from both perspectives, starting with the pro. You already know. What did I say? I said starting with the pro. You already know. That's my baby. Go. Give and get buckets. That's quid pro quo. Put you on the top 10 list, Mojo. You too can shoot from the logo. I be seeing you cook, putting dudes in the blender, then leaving them shook as you only getting better. I be praying for defenders. Wait, as you only get better, I be praying for defenders. And they calling you a Kendall because you like D-Book. Do y'all like that bar? I said they calling you a Kendall because you like D-Book. Like a Kindle and the book, the Amazon Kindle, but also Kendall Jenner and D-Book. They be comparing Tyler to D-Book. Anyways, I could keep going through the rest of the song, but y'all could listen to it where it's edited and I recorded 100 times because I'm not a rapper, so I'm not going to do that live as well. But anyways, Point is, Tyler Herro is polarizing, right? For years, you have people that hated him and loved him, said he doesn't work well, right? And everyone that said they don't like his fit on the team was called a hater, because that's what the toxic internet is. I don't know. As my guy Royal A. Shepard says, everyone on the internet is ones and zeros, so we don't be listening to that anyways. And I was in and out of the group that thought Tyler maybe should be traded / coming off the bench, right? Because that's what we're talking about when we're saying the people that are Tyler Herro haters, right? At first, I was kind of part of the group saying, I'll start with this. Coming into this season, I had a bold prediction Tyler Herro would be an all-star, right? And he started the season very well, right? I thought he was very efficient, and then he got hurt, and the team started winning games. And I kind of looked at that and said, hey, Tyler Herro was hurt in the finals last year. They made the finals without him. Tyler Herro was hurt this year. They couldn't stop winning games. That kind of begged the question to me of, hey, maybe he's not as important as I thought he was, right? Because a lot of people will talk about, oh, his fit on the court looks weird, this and that. But the facts are, they made the finals without him. So at the very least, they don't need him. And that's something I started thinking about when I was talking about maybe wanting to trade Tyler Herro. Now, Tyler Herro is an amazing basketball player. I always got to say this so the Herro stands don't come after me. Tyler Herro is an amazing basketball player. Very, very skilled offensively, right? But his fit on this particular team, I don't think works well. He's very isolation heavy. He's not great at defense, not a great lob threat, right? And we can see that there's not a ton of chemistry. He'll throw a lob to Bam every once in a while, which is more than we see from Jimmy and Bam, right? But I just don't think it works great, especially when you compare it to a guy like Duncan Robinson, who every time he's in the starting lineup, things look real smooth. And you know Duncan got chemistry with Jimmy and Bam. So if the Heat aren't going to trade Tyler Herro, I've always been part of the group that says, hey, you got to put him off the bench. But the way things have been looking, I'm not sure that Pat Riley would even be satisfied with that anymore. This is how we're going to find out if Pat Riley's still that killer, right? Because back in the day, Pat Riley didn't care about the young guys. He didn't care about the draft picks. He traded a young Lamar Odom and a young Caron Butler to get Shaq, right? And Pat Riley just saw them in person get dominated by the Celtics. He saw them in person get dominated by the Knicks. And that's not something that the old Pat Riley would just say, oh, okay, we'll keep going with this build. That's something that would have pissed him off and incentivized him to make some trades. Now, the trade deadline is February 8th. So there's still some time for Pat to realize that this core might be done. Now, to all the people that say, hey, Jimmy's the problem because he's lackadaisical. Bam's the problem because he can't make a mid-range jump shot no more. Tyler, I'm not putting all the blame on Tyler. Everything about those two other guys is correct. But if you're going to agree with me that this core of Jimmy, Bam, and Tyler has run its course and you need to trade one of them, I think it has to be Tyler Herro. Jimmy Butler has been too amazing, too much of a superstar in the playoffs. It's hard to replace a guy like that. I don't think you could ever trade him, right? Bam Adebayo is undoubtedly the best defender in the NBA, and he's a guy that we know can score 20 points a night. By process of elimination, the guy you got to move on from is Tyler Herro. Now, I understand that his trade value isn't as much as the other guys because it's not as good, but I just think that means that you got to trade him. Now, I guess I kind of want to talk a little bit about, before I get into how to fix this Heat team, I want to talk about how it seems like more and more people are starting to realize that maybe it's time to move on from Tyler Herro. And again, that's not me saying that Tyler Herro is the problem. I just think maybe it's time to move on from him because, like I said, you got to do something. And you can't trade the other two guys. As my guy Van Lee says in the comments here on the live stream, you can't trade Bam. Exactly. I've seen, let's talk about the Basement Sports Network, right? On Twitter, for a while, you've had a lot of guys tweet out from there the Heat record when Tyler Herro was a starter. And it's not very good, right? I'll look it up right now. Let's go to StatMuse. We're going to do this live and try to figure it out, right? So let's do Miami Heat's record with Herro as a starter. So the Miami Heat record with Tyler Herro as a starter is, why did it say Myers Leonard's record with the Heat as a starter? I said Miami Heat record with Tyler Herro as a starter. This is on StatMuse, by the way. If anybody wants to have some fun with stuff, they have an excellent program. With is literally giving you it's Myers Leonard's record with the Miami Heat and I'm literally typing Miami Heat record with Tyler Herro starting. Let's try that. Usually it works pretty well. I thought I could do it live. Maybe not. If it's not gonna give it to me, I'm just gonna give you the estimate numbers off the top of my head that I know. Okay, here we go. So all time. Oh no, see this just gives me the record with Tyler. All right, the StatMuse is bugging now. I apologize that you have to listen to this live, but basically, I believe the Miami Heat are like one game under 500 in their entire lifespan of Tyler Herro's career when he starts. When you look at the numbers in the same time frame since Tyler was drafted of Duncan Robinson starting, they're pretty much well above 500. And there's a lot of different variations of that you can do where when it's Jimmy, Bam, and Tyler starting, just Jimmy and Tyler, just Tyler and Bam, and then just Duncan starting, Duncan and Bam, Duncan and Jimmy, right? That's why I kind of wanted to do it live so we could play around with it, but it's bugging a little bit now, so you can look up in your own time. All of the statistics show, though, that when Tyler Herro was starting, they are not as good record-wise than when they're not. Now, for all the Herro stands, it's not as simple as that. You can't just look at a number and say, oh, they lose more when he plays, they lose less when Duncan starts, right? You can't. It's not that basic. It's basketball. There's a lot of variables, right? But the sample size is starting to become too big where it at least takes some consideration. This is something I said a few weeks ago when I made a Tyler Herro video and I talked about the stats then about the Heat have a losing record when he's a starter, and they've gotten worse since then. It's big enough a sample size where I think it might no longer be a coincidence. You even have people on Twitter that used to hate on the guys in the basement, like Kendall was saying this, Alex Shelton was saying this. They were hating on those guys for bringing up that stat. But now they're starting to agree with it. I even saw my guy, Brendan Tobin, who in my opinion is my favorite content creator, Miami sports analyst, right? And a lot of people watching this might know Brendan Tobin. He is like the best. He's the guy. He does the radio on 560 WQAM, right? Every weekday. And he has no haters. One of the most positive guys, right? On their last episode, they said that Eric Tobin said the same stat with Tyler Herro as a starter and Duncan Robinson as a starter. And Tobin said, I'm not going to say anything about it. I'm just going to give you the stats. And when a guy like Tobin is starting to notice the trend, one of the most positive guys is starting to notice the trend, how you don't win as much when you have Tyler Herro, it's hard to deny it anymore. Every day, you're starting to see less and less Heat fans, or you're starting to see less and less Herro fans stand up for him every day. It sucks. It sucks because I like Tyler Herro a lot. He seems like a very nice guy. From everything you heard, he works his ass off. But for whatever reason, it doesn't work well on this team. I don't know if it's because he's isolation heavy. I don't know if it's because the defense isn't great, because Terry Rozier is isolation heavy. He hasn't been good so far, but if you trade Tyler, are you going to have the same problem with Terry? Duncan Robinson's defense is not great, but he works so well with the starting lineup. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because Tyler Herro is not all that efficient. He'll have these games over 50%, but they're too few and far between. Maybe it's that. I don't know. But I think it's time to move on. Now, would this fix the Heat? I don't know. But my plan for the Miami Heat going forward is I would like to trade Tyler Herro this season before the February 8th trade deadline for a couple guys that I think fit better on this team, particularly a starting power forward and maybe someone that could play backup guard spot, right? A couple deals that could exist like that, and I'm going very general here because I would like to get a full video out about this where I actually break down the trades, go on the trade machine and play around with it. But maybe you trade Tyler for a package of Dorian Finney-Smith and Spencer Dinwiddie. Two guys that aren't as good as Tyler Herro, but Dorian Finney-Smith would fit perfect at that starting four spot. He's a very versatile, switchy, great defender at that four spot and an excellent three-point shooter. He is almost sort of a PJ Tucker-esque type player, and we know how great PJ Tucker played that role here. In this kind of offense, You need a guy that can shoot threes in the corner because that's where you get your floor spacing for guys like Jimmy and Bam to drive. And then obviously Spencer Dinwiddie, he's the guy that can fill it up. He's having a pretty terrible season shooting the ball, but he has a large enough sample size throughout his career to show that he's an excellent player as well. I like a package like that. Now, whether we have to give a first, they give us a first, I don't know the details. I'm going to look around in the trade machine a little bit, but a package like that, I think it helped the Miami Heat because it fits better. Maybe a similar trade. You trade Tyler Herro to the Washington Wizards, another young team who might like his talents. I mean, then they'd have Jordan Poole and Tyler Herro on the same team. That could be awkward, but maybe you do something like that, and then we get back Kyle Kuzma and Tyus Jones. Kyle Kuzma is an excellent rebounder, excellent shooter from the 4 spot. Those are two things that would be perfect in this Heat starting lineup. And then you'd also get Tyus Jones, who is the epitome of a facilitating point guard. He's got like an assist to turnover ratio of like 5-1. He's a no mistake point guard, which is exactly the type of guy you'd want coming off the bench, to help kind of run a bench unit. If you start Terry Rozier, or maybe you start Tyus Jones, have Terry Rozier be the bucket off the bench, you could work with it there. Point is, having a Kuzma and Tyus Jones could work better than having a Tyler Herro. So those are just kind of two trades that I've been thinking about on the top of my head that I think might work better than just having Tyler Herro on the team, even though the guys they're getting aren't as good because they got to do something. Pat Riley's also talked a lot about he thinks builds really get like 5 years before you can really see it through. Well, this is year 5. Is he going to waste another year and wait till next year when Jimmy Butler's 35 to really make moves? I hope not, because I think Jimmy Butler has earned this for the organization to do everything in their power to get them to win right now, right? Got a few other comments here just about other stuff not related because that's kind of pretty much the two top topics that Heat fans have been wanting to talk about. Let me go through some of these comments here on the live stream. Once again, if you're on the audio side, make sure to check out the live stream sometimes. If you're up late on a Saturday, because that's mostly when I'm going to do it. And if not, if you just want to see the video, we'll still come to the YouTube side. I'll have it uploaded and edited. And for everyone that's in the live stream right now, I know I've been looking up at the camera. Make sure y'all check out the actual video tomorrow too when I cut and edit it. And show a love, show some likes and stuff because I want to try to run up those numbers as well. But we got my guy Dan the Film Jet. He said, yo, glad to see you streaming again, brother. I appreciate you, my guy. We got John Constantine saying, or Gene, would Miami be interested in doing a 10-day contract? I mean, who do you want with a 10-day contract? I haven't really looked at a list. I do know there's a lot of buyout guys that could be available that I've talked about, like Alec Burks, Doug McDermott I like a lot. People were saying even Kelly Olynyk. I like Patty Mills as a potential buyout guy. The issue is with getting a buyout guy like Gordon Hayward is because of all these apron rules and the salary cap and stuff, the Miami Heat actually can't sign a buyout player if their current contract is over league average, which is like $12 million. Meaning if Gordon Hayward was to get bought out, the Heat can't sign him. Now, there's a couple small moves they could make that would get them under that first apron that would allow them to do that. For example, they could cut Drew Smith, which I got no problem with. I'm not going to lie to you. They could also move on from like Thomas Bryant. They could do some sort of stuff like that. So right now they can't get Gordon Hayward, but if this Heat team makes some smaller moves lining up, let's say they don't acquire a player, but they make some smaller moves to shed salary, Gordon Hayward is the guy that I would keep an eye on here. Let's see what else we got here. Reading some of these comments here. Hero sucks from Jeff Heinzel. I'm telling you, more and more people are starting to get on that out here. I got my boy John. Shout out my boy John. Make sure y'all go check out his stuff. He be streaming video games and stuff too. That's my boy. We got another comment from Gene Constantine. I like that name. Gene Constantine. He says, Ant, do you think our bench is too heavy? That's a good question because I kind of got annoyed when this is the first game the Heat have been fully healthy, right? Because you got K-Love back, you got Jaime Jaquez back. And Spoelstra said before the game something along the lines of, this is the first time I've had all of our pieces. And he's like, it could be a little bit of a challenge. I'm like, don't give me that BS, bro. Like, you say when everyone's hurt, you have enough, and now you got everyone back and you say it's going to be a challenge? Like, I don't think having too many guys is a challenge, although I get it from a rotation standpoint. It begs some questions, like Josh Richardson didn't play tonight. I feel like he's been playing fine. You know, people are hating on Jay Rich, but he's literally a minimum contract guy. He's been fine. But I didn't really like that from Spo. So to answer Gene Constantine's question, do you think the bench is too deep? I mean, I don't think too deep is a thing, but do they have some contracts that they can package and maybe trade to get someone better? Yeah, if it's available. But I think I'd rather start with trading Tyler and kind of building around Jimmy and Bam, because I do think you can win around those two guys. I mean, you got to the finals last year with Jimmy and Bam, no Tyler, right? And it was a lot of the other role guys that had to step up as well. But I feel like, you lost Gabe, you lost Strus, but you replaced it with Jaime Jaquez. Bam Adebayo looks more improved and more versatile. Caleb Martin is still on the team, at least for this year. You can make the argument this Heat team is better than last year's Heat team. And that includes Terry Rozier as well. Dan the Film Gen says, bring back Jamari Bouye, because he shout out George from the basement. No. Where's that from? That's from, is that from My Wife and Kids? Yeah, y'all ever see My Wife and Kids? Where, what's the dad's name too? I forget. The Wayne's brother, he's like, no. Well, that's how I feel about Terry Rozier. That might be an obscure reference. Some names that Constantine brings up in the comments here. He says, Al-Farouq Aminu. How old is Al-Farouq Aminu? I would have liked him 7-8 years ago, because that good boy could play a little D and shoot the three, but I feel like he's been out of the league for a minute. He's only 33. Al-Farouq Aminu was only 33, but he has not been in the NBA for 3 seasons now. So obviously that's a bit concerning, but theoretically what he provides, stretch 4, I would have liked. He also mentions Nikola Mirotic, who's awesome, but he kind of went to Europe because he didn't want to play in the NBA, so I don't think he'd come back. And then Gene also mentions DeMarcus Cousins. DeMarcus Cousins is a guy that I've wanted for a very long time. He used to be one of my favorite players in the league when he was, one of the most dominant. But there's a lot of teams that could use a guy like him. And if nobody has signed DeMarcus Cousins, if he's playing in Taiwan, which is not even like a higher level overseas place, something tells me that he's probably washed up a little bit too much. We also got Van Lee in the comments here saying, Jake Fisher, who had inside info on the Rozier trade, said Washington values Tyus Jones as a starter and Kuzma as 2 first-round picks. To me, though, if you got a guy like Jake Fisher revealing reports like from a team that, oh, we value so-and-so as this amount, that means they're trying to move those guys, and you're never going to actually say what you value them at. Meaning, if you value Kuzma as 2 first-round picks, you're probably hoping to get 1 for him. If you value Tyus Jones as getting a starter back, you might settle for a mid-starter to higher-level bench role player. I don't know. But Tyus Jones is on the last year of his contract, I believe, so it's like they don't have that much saying what they want for him. Kuzma a little more so, because I believe he's getting paid a ton of money. Dan the Film Gen says, to be honest, I kind of don't want to give up on Thomas Bryant, and I want to give him more of a chance. It's obvious he doesn't fit what Spo runs on his team. Real quick on Thomas Bryant, because I don't think that many people care about him, quite frankly. People be hated on Thomas Bryant, right? He's a veteran player. He's fine for a veteran player. He's not a great defender. He's lost out there at times. But when he's out there, I feel like he hustles hard. He gets some dunks to energize the crowd, some putbacks. He's fine. He's way better than Cody Zeller and Dwayne Dedmon, which are the other veteran minimum bigs they've tried recently. I think he's fine. Levy Shaw is annoyed that the Heat missed out on Oubre and Lonnie Walker and Christian Wood because they wanted to wait for Dame. That's an interesting topic. Sometimes I wonder what this Heat roster would look like if Damian Lillard never asked out. Because I think you'd have Pat Riley and you'd have Mickey Harrison and Scott Simon and everyone in the front office saying, hey, this Heat team just made the finals. It's important that we improve on this core and this roster so we can compete with the other teams in the East. I think that they would have noticed that, because they're not idiots, right? I'd like to think so. I think they would have noticed that and said, hey, let's try to get some of these other guys. We like Oubre. We like Christian Wood, right? But then Damian Lillard asked out. But then Damian Lillard said, I want to go to the Heat. And because of Joe Cronin's bum ass, it dragged out the entire summer until all the key free agents were gone. A lot of trade pieces went elsewhere. And it was all too late by the time Dame went to Milwaukee. By the time Dame went to Milwaukee, all that was left was Josh Richardson and Thomas Bryant. So part of me wonders if he didn't screw over the Heat, Like, or if Dame never even asked out, or if Cronin would have sent Dame to Milwaukee right away, maybe the Heat could have and would have made some other moves before it was too late. Because I do think Oubre would have been nice here. I do love Lonnie Walker. Van Lee says, would you trade Herro and Duncan for Clay and Sarge? No, because I think Duncan is better than Klay Thompson right now. But I mean, Sarge is fine. He's kind of a nice stretch four. But no, that's not enough value right there. Miami Majestic says an eternal fix is having Tyler come off the bench. Yeah, it's starting to think like that. This is a topic I don't like from my guy Dan the Film Gent. I know you my boy though, but you said it's not debatable that Caleb isn't the same player he was in the playoffs. I don't know if it's injuries or getting him, but he doesn't look the same. That playoff Caleb was like a lightning in a bottle type run. I don't think it's fair for Heat fans to expect that coming into this season. Now, coming into this season, he was hurt. So when he did come back, he did need some time to get adjusted. But I think Heat fans are forgetting when Caleb was healthy this year, he was very good. Like, he had a very, very nice run. But then that's when he hurt his ankle again. If y'all remember, he slipped on the floor. And since then, there's been a lot of inconsistency in the lineup. He's been in the starting lineup, 6-man, not playing, right? And I think that's been hard for him to actually get back to his game. So I think he's getting a lot of undeserved hate. There's a lot of people ready to write off Caleb Martin for like another 1-year rental of someone like a Tyus Jones. And to me, Caleb Martin is still a much better player than a Tyus Jones, especially when you're talking about a 1-year rental. So I wouldn't just give Caleb Martin up for pennies, even though they're not going to be able to re-sign him, or afford to re-sign him next season. Dan also says, is Rios Mario Chalmers still in the G League or overseas? Well, y'all know Mario Chalmers is my boy. Technically, he's the co-host on this podcast, even though we've done 2 episodes together. But my guy is very busy, obviously. So no shade towards him. He's awesome. Like, he's legit one of the nicest dudes. But he played overseas a few different places. It's kind of hard for me to keep up because he's tried a few different ventures, but he's also working a lot like just on the business side and stuff. So he has a lot going on. And truthfully, at this point, I'm not sure if he's still trying to pursue the pro basketball career or just start working on other ventures in life. So I'm not entirely sure. What else we got here? We got my guy, Team to Beat Miami Heat. Shout out to my guy. Make sure y'all go subscribe to his channel on YouTube. He's doing his content creation thing as well. He says, do you think the Miami Heat need a marginal move, like getting a Davion Mitchell and Trey Lyles, or do we need to trade Tyler for a Kuzma or a player of that caliber? Well, kind of earlier I said I would trade Tyler for a package like Kuzma and Trey Jones, but I would say that is a marginal move, right? I don't think Kyle Kuzma is some sort of a superstar or anything like that. The whole Davion Mitchell thing, which I've seen some Heat fans talking about, no. Davion Mitchell is shooting like under 30% from the field and like 18% from 3. And we know that the Miami Heat can't score as is. So they gonna bring in Davion Mitchell? I think not. If they need a guy to play perimeter defense, they got Caleb Martin. They got Josh Richardson. Hell, bring back Marcus Garrett. Bring back Briante Weber. Because those two guys, they're about as good as Davion Mitchell. Now, no disrespect to Davion Mitchell, former lottery pick. I think even when like Davion Mitchell was on JJ Redick's podcast. And Davion Mitchell even said that Marcus Garrett was the best defender that he ever played against. Right? So if they were going to sign that type of player, go get Marcus Garrett. But ideally, I would like to trade Tyler for someone like Dorian Finney-Smith or Kyle Kuzma or something like that. So I want to get into a couple of these other topics here so we can close out the pod pretty soon. Earlier this week, Paul Pierce said that UD's jersey retirements was given, not earned. I'm not going to discuss that because we all know that it's earned. We know what Udonis Haslam did. I'm not going to spend 30 minutes talking about the leading rebounder and the Dirk stopper and all that stuff. But obviously, we all hate Paul Pierce, right? And this is actually something I asked Mario Chalmers about, too, because they're Kansas boys. And Rio said that Paul Pierce was his boy. So I was like, all right, I respect that. But I low-key respect what Paul Pierce's hate, right? Because when you look at how adamant he is about hating LeBron and hating the Miami Heat, it's commendable in a way. Like, I see clips on TikTok of Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce, their podcast. One of the most annoying things ever, right? KG, everything he says, he's yelling, right? I kind of have that tendency too. I feel like I yell a lot. But everything KG says, he's yelling, right? But he was naming like players who have the most dog in them in the league. And KG was like, oh, Pat Bev and Jason Tatum and Jimmy Butler and LeBron. And as soon as KG said LeBron, Paul Pierce is like, whoa, 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 whoa. I don't know if I want to go that far. So it's like every little thing he's petty about. And part of me respects that. That's all I wanted to say. I got some notes here about Miami getting their ass bust by Orlando. I wrote a note here about DeJounte Murray. There was a report that like he might go to the Lakers, but the Lakers wanted to move on from D'Lo because they wanted an expiring contract. But this package was supposed to be centered around just like an expiring contract and a first. If that's the package for DeJounte Murray, I will be pissed. Because then it's confirmed that the only reason the Heat did not go after DeJounte Murray is because he gets paid more money for more years than Terry Rozier. Because obviously, DeJounte Murray is a way better player than Terry Rozier. And you got no questions on the defensive end, which right now, you got a lot with Scary Terry, who, yeah, it's been 3 games. I'm going to give him time to get better, but I will also acknowledge that he's been terrible, right? But I'll be interested to see when DeJounte Murray gets moved because I do think that he does. The other note I got here is Bam, Tyler, Jimmy, and Duncan were all finalists for Team USA. Don't care. I was also going to talk about the All-Star starters that came out because a lot of people were mad that Dame was in it and Brunson got snubbed. And again, I don't care. Like there's a big thing on Heat Twitter, during these, and I respect it. Everyone's like, oh, vote for Bam, and they got all these campaigns. Vote for Jimmy. The Heat put out these campaigns, and to be honest, as a fan, I could not care less. It was nice when Bam was young. I was into it. I voted every day. Get Bam in the All-Star game. But at this point, win a damn championship. We sitting here talking about All-Star games. Now, again, it's not really the players because we know Jimmy don't care about that, right? And also, as a fan, it's like, if Jimmy don't care about it, why am I going to care about it, right? Like, I just want to win a championship. Playing the All-Star game, don't play in the All-Star game, I could not care less, personally. Same goes for Team USA. A couple of the other topics I got here, some NBA topics. Embiid scored 70. And then that same night, Towns had, I think, 62 and a loss, which is the most hilarious thing. There's going to be a lot of drama there because the coach did not hold back. I think the coach is Chris Finch. He did not hold back after that game. He said, oh, Towns was gunning for 70. Towns was not playing defense because Towns was benched. Imagine scoring 62 and getting benched. That's wild. Now, would I take Karl Anthony Towns on Miami Heat? I think so. I mean, he's so good, dog. You talking about a guy that can rebound and stretch the floor. He is elite in both of that. Now, I know I'm probably going to look at the comments here, and a lot of people are going to say that Jimmy Butler hates him, so you can't do it. And you would be right. So it'll never happen, but I could dream, right? But it's funny, too, because, a few days later, you had Booker score 62 in a loss, and then you also had Luka score 73. Somebody's going to break Kobe's 81, in our lifetime, and it will be sooner than later. And actually, I was thinking about this literally, 2 weeks ago, who would be the guy to do it, and I said Luka. I was just talking with the boys in the group chat, and I said Luka. Sure enough, a couple weeks later, the boy had 73. And that game almost went to overtime, too. He could have did it, dog, but someone's going to have it. So a lot of people are saying that it's a problem with the NBA right now. No one's playing defense. I don't know. I think guys are playing defense, but scorers are just a lot better than they were 20 years ago, right? You've seen all the crazy things these guys do. You're seeing a 7-footer like Joel Embiid fade away, hit 3-pointers, 90% from the free throw line, right? And scorers is just better. And great offense will always be great defense. That's just kind of how I feel about it. You also had the Bucks, who fired Adrian Griffin. Now, there's been a lot of writing on the walls earlier this year where Terry Stotts was quit the first week because he didn't agree with the head coach. You had Bobby Portis and stuff talking about coaching after a couple of losses earlier this year. But at 30-13 to fire a coach is wild. I got to believe that's unheard of, which that's why it kind of sucks because obviously they probably had a lot of drama in the locker room. You would have hoped it would have translated to the win-loss column and they wouldn't be freaking number 2 in the East. But what are you going to do? I got my own team to worry about. I can't be worrying about the Bucks 30-13, right? The Heat going to bust that ass in the playoffs, though. Don't forget I said it. Let me check the rest of these comments. If ain't nothing else, I'm probably going to get out of here soon. We got Dan saying, why do we even talk about what... He said, why do we even need to talk about what that green shorts man says at this point? It's obvious he's salty about us. Damn, who you talking about? Green shorts, man. I don't really know what he's talking about. We got another comment from my guy, One. He says, Miami let go of the 3 guards that got them to the finals and kept the 1 guard in Tyler that was on the bench in street clothes. 3 guards. Well, I guess you're talking, Strus really wasn't a guard, but I guess you're talking Strus, Gabe, and are you talking Depot? Is that who you're talking about here? Unless I'm missing someone. I don't think so. Unless you're talking about Kyle Lowry. Is you talking about Kyle Lowry, dog? I get it. Kyle Lowry will show up his moments, but for a guy getting paid that much money, you got to go. Especially when this team can't score and the dude is averaging 2 points a game. Nah, get out of here, Kyle Lowry. And yeah, I like Gabe Vincent, but couldn't really afford to pay him. Same with Max Strus and whatever. I mean, for what you lost in Max Strus, you're making up in a great Duncan year. For what you lost in Gabe Vincent, you got Jaime Jaquez, different role, different position, but he's phenomenal. I still think this Heat team is better than last year. Dan said, bring in Alondes Williams. Bro, Alondes Williams, if y'all ain't been keeping up with the Heat G League team, Sioux Falls Sky Force, Sky Force, that boy scored 55 like a couple weeks ago. So no doubt about it, that guy could get buckets. Now, I was not watching the game, but I saw that he scored 55. Gene Constantine says, name the best 4 that can fit in next to Bam and Adebayo, and would you prefer 4 next to Bam that can space the floor or 4 that can play defense and is a long threat? That's an interesting question, right? Because I like guys like Siakam, right? When you're talking about the perfect 4 next to Bam, because he's a great passer, could play defense. He could stretch the floor a little bit, but that's not what he's known for. And I really like the idea of having 2 great passing bigs that could play switchy defense next to each other. Because we know Spo gonna switch everything anyways, right? So, the more Bams, the better. I think 5 Bams could win a championship. They probably couldn't score enough. But it'd be interesting to see, right? I've also liked the idea of Larry Markkinen, who's pretty much just a stretch 4, right? Really good shooter, decent rebounder. I like guys like him too. So I don't know. But I think the role that I would like is a PJ Tucker-esque type player. Now, I guess PJ Tucker might be out there. We talking about buyout guys, which he hasn't been playing. He might be rested. Maybe he's ready to go. I don't know. I don't know if he can hurt this team, but I mean it'd be kind of like adding another Kevin Love at this age. So I don't see the point of adding PJ. But a guy that I would like is, like I said, Dorian Finney-Smith or Kyle Kuzma. I think that's all. I think that's where I'm gonna wrap up this podcast. So I appreciate y'all tuning in. We have quite a lot of people in this live stream, so make sure y'all keep tuning in. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm probably gonna go live every Saturday night. I'll usually have time pretty late on Saturday, so the late night crew, it's 12:30 a.m. for those of y'all that don't know. So I appreciate the late night crew tuning in with me here and being able to rant and ramble with me a little bit. So I'll probably do the live streams like every Saturday night, and I'll have the audio recorded on Sunday and the actual video with the cut and the edits and the color boost all uploaded on Sunday as well. So make sure everyone in the stream right now, go check out the video, and everyone on the video, check out the stream, and everyone on the audio, check out the video, and all that other stuff. Anyways, the Miami Heat played the Phoenix Suns on Monday, where they gonna blow that shit out. Shout out to Roy Lee Shepard, and I'll see y'all after that game. So peace out.
Look, pull up in your city tryna get that dead face. Do it on my own, I don't need no dead weight. Had to kill him off, yeah, I need a head space. You know this homegrown bitch don't offend me.